1. The question that bends reality. Time, an invisible force, silent yet absolute, rules our lives with an unyielding rhythm. It feels like a river, relentless and irreversible, flowing in a single direction. From the moment we take our first breath to the instant we draw our last, time carries us forward. We are passengers moving helplessly along its current, unable to stop, reverse, or even slow down. But what if that river had a twin? What if in some distant universe, one that exists alongside our own, time does not march forward, but flows backward, not as a poetic idea, not as a metaphor, but as a real, physical phenomenon? Imagine for a moment a world where the arrow of time points in the opposite direction. In this mirror reality, the impossible becomes possible. A shattered glass rises from the floor, its pieces dancing upward, reassembling into its perfect, original form. A burned forest heals itself, its blackened trunks turning green, its ashes transforming into fresh leaves, growing backward into towering trees. And the people do not age. They unage, wrinkles smooth out, hair regains its color, youth returns not as memory, but as a lived reality. It's a place where the future creates the past, where memories don't accumulate but instead unravel, where the laws of cause and effect are no longer sacred, but flexible, fragile. In that world you don't remember what has happened, but what is about to happen. Your footsteps begin at the destination and end at the starting point. You don't plan your future, you remember it. Is it science fiction? Possibly, but perhaps not entirely. As strange as it sounds, modern physics doesn't completely rule out this possibility. Deep within the fabric of quantum theory lies a concept that shakes our assumptions to their core: time symmetry. It's the idea that many of the fundamental laws of the universe don't care which way time flows. To them, forward and backward are just directions, nothing more. This idea, hiding in plain sight, suggests something extraordinary, that somewhere in the vast, unobservable dimensions of the cosmos, time might indeed be flowing in reverse. A reality governed by the same physics as ours, yet dancing to an inverted rhythm. Think about that. What would it feel like to live in a world where your very first breath is your last, and your final heartbeat is the start of your life? What would relationships mean when you meet someone for the first time, only to feel like you're saying goodbye? What kind of wisdom would emerge in a society that watches the future fade into the past? Would people be more cautious, knowing the consequences before the actions? Or more reckless, knowing they can never change what has already happened in reverse? The implications stretch the boundaries of imagination, and this raises the ultimate question, the one that bends reality. If time can move in both directions, then what exactly is real? Is our experience of forward time the only truth, or just a limited perspective shaped by our biology, our perception, and our place in the universe? If time can be mirrored, then perhaps so can fate. Perhaps choice and destiny are not as rigid as we believe. Perhaps everything we know is just one version of reality among many. The mirror world challenges our deepest assumptions. It calls into question everything we thought we understood about beginnings and endings, cause and effect, purpose and consequence. It invites us to imagine a cosmos far more mysterious and far more magnificent than we ever dared to dream. So we're left with a haunting possibility somewhere beyond our reach. Time bends in the opposite direction, and maybe, just maybe, the universe is whispering to us through the language of quantum mechanics, through the riddles of symmetry, that we are only beginning to understand what time truly is. And the question remains, if time can flow both ways, which direction is your soul truly moving? Part 2, a glimpse through the mirror. Let's step deeper. If there truly exists a universe where time flows backward, then the question becomes not just what if, But how would that feel? How would reality function when everything we know is turned inside out? In our world, we perceive time as linear, a sequence of events, one following another, cause then effect. We wake, we move, we act. A only after our actions do we witness their consequences. It's the rule we live by, and it seems so solid that we never question it. But imagine waking up in a world where that rule is broken. Imagine opening your eyes, and instead of rising from bed, you find yourself lying back down. You remember brushing your teeth, but the toothpaste is still in the tube. You recall having breakfast, but the toast is untouched, the coffee still steaming in the mug, and yet you know you're full. You leave the house. But instead of walking out the door, you feel your body retracing your steps back inside. Conversations happen, but you remember the ending before the first word is spoken. People don't meet and then fall in love. They start with heartbreak, with tears, and slowly over time become strangers. It's unsettling and strangely poetic in this reverse world. Pain doesn't build, it dissolves. Scars disappear. Wars end before they begin. Tragedies reverse into hope. Death isn't a final moment, but a gateway into life, moving backwards toward a first cry, not a final breath. This isn't just fantasy. It's an exploration of time's hidden architecture. Theoretical physicists speak of a block universe, where time isn't flowing at all, but laid out in its entirety, past, present, future, existing simultaneously. To us, time feels like it moves, but that's an illusion of consciousness moving along a fixed structure, like reading a book. When you read a story, the characters experience events in sequence, but you, the reader, can flip to any page. You can begin at the end. You can move backward. The whole story already exists. You're just navigating it. So what if life is like that? What if our consciousness is simply reading the pages of time, one by one, in forward order here, but in reverse somewhere else? Quantum theory gives us more than just permission to dream. It provides mathematical grounds for these possibilities. The equations that govern particle behavior, at their core, do not demand a single direction of time. They allow for reversibility. It is only entropy, the tendency toward disorder, that gives us the illusion of time's arrow pointing forward. But entropy, too, could behave differently in other corners of the cosmos. In some models, there's a possibility that the universe started with low entropy at both ends, ours and the other side. Two arrows of time pointing away from a shared center. If that's true, then time flowing backward isn't just possible, it's necessary to complete the picture. In that picture, our universe is not a lonely strand of time unraveling forward. It's part of a cosmic mirror, two reflections moving away from each other, like dancers tracing opposite steps in perfect harmony. And if that's the case, then what are we? Are we just observers or participants in a grander symmetry? Would it be that our dreams, our instincts, those strange feelings of déjà vu or forgotten memories, they're echoes, whispers from that mirrored world? Could someone there be dreaming of us, just as we dream of them? Maybe the universe is not a line, but a loop, a spiral, a rhythm. And maybe time, like music, only makes sense when heard in both directions. So once again, the mystery deepens. If time can move backward and memories can unravel, then identity itself becomes fluid. Who are you if your past is someone else's future? What defines you, your direction, or your awareness? In this mirror world, there are no straight answers, only reflections, and every reflection asks the same thing. If time reversed, would you still be you? Or would you become someone entirely different, someone who begins where you end and ends where you begin? And part 3, the soul between two arrows. If time can run both forward and backward, then we are no longer just physical beings. We are bridges, gateways between two arrows of time, between becoming and unraveling, between cause and uncause, between memory and destiny. Think about it. If your birth is someone's ending and your death is someone else's beginning, then identity is no longer confined to a single timeline. Who you are cannot be contained by the present moment. You are both the echo and the origin. You are the footprint and the step that made it. So what does that mean for the soul? In our world, we define ourselves through time, our childhood, our growth, our choices, our aging. We look at life as a ladder. We climb upward, rung by rung, gaining wisdom, collecting experiences, heading toward an unknown future. But if time could run backward, that ladder turns into a spiral. And maybe, just maybe, the soul isn't moving in a straight line but dancing between both realities. A soul in motion is not bound to time. It carries memories from one side and intentions from the other. It remembers things not yet lived and forgets things not yet lost. Perhaps that is why we sometimes feel something before it happens, or why we grieve something before we even understand what we've lost. What if déjà vu isn't just a glitch in the brain, but a message from the reverse flow, a brief crossing, a ripple, a flicker where timelines touch and you remember something your backward self has already lived? Imagine this: you're standing in the rain, and suddenly a scent, a sound, a moment pulls you into a memory that isn't yours, a memory that feels borrowed. You know it, but you don't know how. It feels old yet new. That moment may not belong to your timeline at all. It might be a whisper from your mirrored self, moving the other way, leaving footprints you accidentally step into. Could your dreams be another bridge, a place outside of time where the two versions of you briefly meet? You moving forward and the other you moving back. What do they see when they look at you? Are they trying to send you a message, or are you the one leaving clues behind? If the soul can exist in both timelines, then it must be something timeless, something not born of matter but of meaning. Not a passenger of time, but a witness to it. And here's where it gets even more profound. What if healing could happen backward? What if the things that haunt you today are echoes of something already healing in the reverse stream? What if forgiveness isn't something you do in the future, but something your soul has already done? In the past that's still coming, imagine watching a fight unfold in reverse. The shouting fades, the hurt turns soft, the words are pulled back into silence. Two people step away, and instead of anger you feel relief. There is no regret, only release. The pain unwinds, the sharpness dulls. And in that motion, something inside you shifts. You feel peace before the wound even closes. What would life look like if we could live with that awareness? If we could feel time not just as a forward path, but as a field, expanding in all directions? Would we still fear endings, knowing they may only be beginnings in reverse? Would we hold on to love more gently, knowing it flows through us in both directions? Perhaps the greatest shift is this time does not confine the soul, it reveals it. You are not just a creature of time, you are a thread of consciousness that stretches across timelines. You are a story being, written in both directions, with chapters unfolding in sync, though you only read one page at a time. Somewhere another version of you is remembering the future, and maybe in your stillness, in your quiet moments, you can feel their presence, a reflection, a reassurance. And so the question changes once again. It is no longer just what if time flows backward. It becomes, what does your soul carry between the two arrows of time? And what will you do with that awareness, now that you know? Part 4. Becoming the bridge. So here we are, standing between two rivers of time, one flowing forward into what we call the future, the other silent and unseen, pulling gently backward into what we call the past. And in between those two currents is you. You are the bridge. You are the meeting point of memory and possibility, of what has happened and what could happen again. You are the soul that touches both timelines, and that realization changes everything. It means you are not bound by the mistakes of your past, because somewhere in a mirrored world, they are unmaking themselves. The regret you carry may already be healing. The pain you feel may already be dissolving. Every sorrow might be a memory untangling itself in reverse. That's not just comforting, it's empowering. Because if time can flow both ways, then so can choice, so can intention, so can consciousness. Imagine this: the future is not something that simply happens to you, it's something your soul is already shaping in both directions. With every thought, every emotion, every breath, you're not just building a path forward, you're also healing a path behind. That's what it means to become the bridge. You don't just exist in time, you interact with it, you influence it, you bend it with your awareness. Most people believe change only moves forward. You decide something today, and it changes tomorrow. But what if the opposite is also true? What if your forgiveness today reaches into the past and changes how your heart remembers? What if your self-love today softens the echo of an old wound? This is not fantasy, it is reflection. Your body moves through time, but your awareness, your spirit, is far more agile. It leaps, it weaves, it feels ahead and behind. That's why healing can feel like remembering, and why remembering can sometimes feel like healing. You are not just a result of your past. You are a creator of your timeline. You are the only one who can walk both forward and backward, through your choices, through your emotions, through your presence. So the question becomes, what will you choose to carry between the timelines? Will you carry anger, or compassion, shame, or grace, fear, or faith? The mirror world reminds us what you choose doesn't only ripple forward, it also sends waves backward. That argument you forgive doesn't just free your future, it softens the past. That love you give doesn't only grow tomorrow, it heals yesterday. Silence. To be the bridge is to become aware of your power, to influence both sides of the mirror, not by control but by presence, not by force, but by becoming the still point between motion. There's an ancient wisdom hidden in this awareness. In Zen, they speak of timelessness, of being in the now so deeply that past and future dissolve. Maybe that's not just a meditative state, maybe it's a doorway, a portal through which you, the bridge, can connect both flows of time and find balance in between. Because what lies beyond time is not confusion, it's clarity. What lies beyond regret is not forgetting, it's forgiveness. What lies beyond fear is not control, it's surrender. And so we return to where we began, not with answers, but with deeper questions. If you are the bridge, then what kind of energy are you passing between the worlds? If your soul is a thread connecting two timelines, then what pattern are you weaving with your life? And if every choice sends ripples, both forward and backward, then what kind of legacy will you leave? Not just for the future, but for the past that shaped you. To become the bridge is not to escape time, but to embrace it fully, to walk with awareness, to breathe with intention, to love so deeply that it heals both directions. Because maybe, just maybe, you were never meant to walk one path. You were always meant to walk both, and in doing so, bring the light of consciousness to all of time. Part 5. Timeless Guidance, Synchronicity, and the Soul's Compass. If you are a bridge between two timelines, if your soul weaves through both past and future, then something beautiful begins to emerge, a guidance system not made of logic, but of feeling, a compass not built of maps, but of meaning. We call it intuition. We call it a gut feeling, a hunch, a pull, a voice that whispers quietly, go this way, not that way. But what if it's not just instinct? What if it's your future self calling out, or your mirrored soul sending signals from the other timeline? We've all felt it. That moment where something just clicks. You're walking through your day, ordinary and distracted, and then suddenly you look up and everything feels aligned. A phone call you needed, a sentence that feels like an answer, a stranger's words that carry the weight of a message. That's not chance. That's synchronicity, the meeting of inner truth with outer events, the soul's compass, pointing not to north, but to now. And here's the wonder: if time flows in both directions, then synchronicity is not just a coincidence, it's a meeting point, a brief flicker, where past, present, and future intersect. And for a moment, you remember who you really are. Your mind may not understand it, but your soul does. That sudden pull to change your path, that quiet knowing to speak up or stay silent, that deep calm when the world seems chaotic. These are not random. They are messages from beyond time, guidance from the version of you who has already walked this path, or perhaps is walking it in reverse. So, how do you follow that compass? You listen, you soften, you step out of the noise of your mind and into the stillness of your heart, because guidance doesn't always shout. Sometimes it's the whisper you almost ignored. Sometimes it's the dream you brushed off. Sometimes it's the ache in your chest when you're about to make the wrong decision. The body knows, the soul remembers. Time leaves clues if you're willing to see them. There is a sacred intelligence moving through you. Not taught but remembered, not pushed but received. You don't have to force your way through life. You don't have to chase destiny. When you become aware of your timeless nature, you stop pushing and start listening. You realize the future is not something to conquer. It's something you're already connected to. And so is the past. That means healing doesn't always come through struggle. Sometimes it comes through alignment, through being exactly where you are, fully present, fully aware, fully open. You start to notice how the right people appear at the right moment, how books fall into your hands when you need them, how an idea floats into your mind, and suddenly everything changes. This is not luck. This is your soul acting across time. This is what it means to live with a timeless compass. You begin to trust that not everything needs to make sense right away. You allow the unfolding. You welcome the unknown. You stop fighting with time and instead move with it like a leaf floating on twin rivers. You let both flows guide you forward and backward in harmony. So here is the next great question. Are you listening to the guidance of your soul, or are you only following the maps written by fear? Legend by fear. Because somewhere in your field of time, you already know the way. Somewhere in the mirror world, your future self is smiling, your past self is healing, and your present self is finally aligned. At 6. Timeless love, healing relationships across lifetimes. What happens when time becomes fluid, when you realize that your soul exists not just in this moment, but stretches beyond it, both forward and back? You begin to see your relationships differently, not as accidents, not as roles, but as echoes, resonances, sacred meetings arranged outside of time, because love is never linear. Some connections arrive like lightning, instant, undeniable, familiar. You meet someone, and deep inside something stirs. I've known you before, even if you just met. Maybe they come into your life as a stranger, but feel like family, or as a friend, but awaken something ancient in you. Some bonds are not new, they are remembered, and in a reality where time may bend, where consciousness flows through twin rivers, then perhaps the people we meet are not new at all. They are returns. Returns of old promises, returns of forgotten lessons, returns of love that never got the chance to finish its story. These are soul contracts, not made on paper, but in energy, not dated by calendar, but by karma. Some come to uplift us, some come to challenge us, some come to break us open. And yet all of them are sacred, because if time can move both ways, then love is not a forward, Motion, it's a full circle. It reaches across timelines. It touches lifetimes. It brings people back together, not always to stay, but always to evolve. So what does this mean for us now? It means your heartbreak matters, but it is not final. It means your forgiveness is powerful, more powerful than you know, because when you forgive someone, you're not just healing the pain they caused you, maybe softening pain from a lifetime ago, or lifting a burden your soul carried long before this body. And when you choose to love again, even after betrayal, even after loss, you may be continuing a love story that never had the chance to finish. This is timeless love, not desperate, not possessive, but deep, expansive, compassionate beyond reason. It doesn't demand understanding, it simply recognizes. You begin to see every soul in your life as a mirror. Some mirrors reflect your strength, some your wounds, some your fears, and the most sacred ones. They reflect who you're becoming. To love with timeless awareness is to stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What is this connection trying to teach me across time?" Because the truth is, you may be someone's healing from another life. You may be their closure. You may be their catalyst, and they may be yours. Even the people who leave do not truly disappear. Their energy lingers. Their lessons remain. Their part in your journey may just be shifting into another form. So don't cling to what was, don't chase what's gone. Instead, listen, feel, honor the connection, because the love that matters, the love that shapes your soul, is never lost. It simply transforms, and sometimes what feels like an ending is just the start of a deeper unfolding. So what if the person who broke your heart was the same soul who saved you in another lifetime? What if the one who triggers your pain now is the one you once promised to meet again, so you could both grow? And what if every goodbye is also a reunion in a different timeline, in a softer moment, in a more awakened state? This is the gift of timeless love. It softens judgment. It deepens compassion. It invites you to love, not with expectation, but with awareness, because love, like you, is not bound by time. It is the thread that weaves through every timeline, every lesson, every soul. 7. Destiny beyond time, the pattern of your soul. What if your life is not a straight line, but a spiral? What if you are not moving forward or backward, but inward, closer and closer to the center of who you truly are? We speak of destiny as if it's a destination, a final point to reach, a trophy to earn. But what if destiny is not a place? What if it's a pattern, a sacred rhythm your soul has been dancing to across lifetimes? You've felt it, haven't you? That pull, that quiet knowing, there's something I'm meant to do, that recurring dream, that passion that never fades, that ache to express something deep and beautiful and true. This is not just ambition, it's memory, it's alignment, it's the echo of your soul's design, trying to rise through the noise of the world. Because when time is no longer linear, your purpose isn't trapped in the future. It's not waiting for you to figure it out. It's always been here, woven into your being, whispering through synchronicity, calling through curiosity, knocking through discomfort when you drift too far from your truth. Your soul knows the way. Even if your mind forgets, even if your timeline feels messy, even if nothing makes sense right now, because you've lived before, you've learned before, and deep down you're not starting from scratch, you're remembering. This is why certain things feel so natural to you, why some places feel like home, why some people feel like instant family. You've walked these paths before, you've touched these vibrations before. You're not discovering your destiny, you're realigning with it. So how do you walk this path? You follow the clues, the breadcrumbs of desire, the flashes of insight, the moments when time seems to pause and you feel fully alive. These are not accidents, they are checkpoints, markers left by your soul in both directions from the future you're stepping into, and the past you've healed from. Destiny is not always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet pull, a gentle tug, an invitation to say yes when everything else says wait, to leap even when fear screams stay, because purpose often hides inside discomfort, inside the things you resist, inside the work that challenges you, the questions that haunt you, the healing that won't let you go. And as you step into your soul's design, you don't just serve yourself, you serve the pattern. You activate timelines, you awaken others, you shift the collective. Because every time one person remembers who they truly are, the entire fabric of reality begins to change. So if you're feeling lost right now, good. Because that means you've stepped outside the map and into the mystery. That means your soul is calling you, not to return to what's comfortable, but to rediscover what's true. You don't need to know the whole path, just the next right step, the one that lights you up, the one that feels like peace. The one that says, this is me. Destiny is not about control. It's about surrender, not about planning every outcome, but dancing with the unfolding. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be because your timeline is sacred. And somewhere in a future that already exists, you are standing fully in your light, in your calling, in your truth. All you have to do is meet yourself there. So ask yourself, what is the pattern I'm here to remember? What is the truth I've carried across lifetimes? And what would happen if I stopped trying to become and started allowing myself to simply be? Because that, right there, is where destiny begins, not in the future, but in the presence of your soul. Conclusion, the dance beyond time. What if your life wasn't just one thread, but many woven across timelines, across realities, across lifetimes? What if every breath you take echoes both forward and backward, touching not only the future you're walking toward, but the past you thought was already written? We began with a question that bent reality: can time truly move both ways? And through that question, we stepped beyond clocks and calendars into a realm where time flows like a river and sometimes like a mirror. We saw how your memories may be more than recollections. They might be glimpses of other versions of you. We witnessed how quantum threads link thoughts, intentions, and destiny, how synchronicity is not coincidence, but design. We explored love that transcends lifetimes and purpose that isn't found, but remembered. In this vast, multi-dimensional dance, you are not lost. You are simply unfolding. Every emotion, every encounter, every turning point, it all matters. Not because it's happening in a straight line, but because it's part of your soul's spiral. Each loop brings you closer to your truth. Each echo, a reminder you've been here before, and you'll be here again. So live with courage, choose with heart, and love like you've met before. Because maybe you have. You are a traveler between timelines, a dreamer of parallel worlds, a soul remembering itself in layers, each moment bringing you home. Misha, for the universe is not asking you to understand time, it's inviting you to feel its beauty, to trust the pattern, to step into the unknown with grace, because the truth is, you were never meant to just pass through time, you were meant to shape it.